What's up, gamers? We've got a fun one for you today. Since when's the last time you saw Jund in Modern, right? I mean, some people will be like, well, I remember seeing Jund back with the Jund Saga stuff. Yeah, this is like, Jund shenanigans, but more land focused. And you'll see it once we get into the game and see just kind of how land focused the deck is. Dimir Murktide, of course, is kind of the new hotness of Murktide. It used to be the Izzet Murktide, but Izzet has kind of pivoted into Izzet Wizards, and now Murktide has found the best home within the Dimir shell. Now, we've got a couple of other big announcements to talk about today, one of which we got a new stream setup that we're going to start testing out. So I know people have been like, the camera's so shaky, and I know, I apologize. We've been working on it. We finally got a new setup, which we will start to see some noticeable differences probably around September on the channel, since we are doing the double videos a week, and we have quite a bit of backlog because we've got some amazing gamers hanging out at our LGS where we record most of our content on the channel. So shout out to all of them for everybody agreeing to be in the videos and hang out and play, and we just kind of record up our weekly Modern stuff here. But here's kind of the shift, right? Already you're seeing this new age version of Jund Inti here, going to be allowing us to discard cards, get +1 counters on it, get to play cards off the top of our library. Just kind of, it does all the cool red things that you want to be able to do, right? So we're going to see how well things work out with a threat coming down early for our lands player or our Jund player here, and how well our Murktide can be able to deal with the threats and land their own threat in the process. But we see a missed land drop here, but kind of holding up, like probably very likely having ponders or things along those lines, not preordains. I mean, I have the been doing some editing of some no ban list footage, guys, so I still have ponders on my brain, but probably have some preordains in hand, but is more likely than not in the mindset of I want to save my mana in case I counterspell or do things along those lines. But we see already discarding another one, putting a counter on it. We're going to get some triggers going off here, revealing a Renin 6 off the top that we can be able to cast. So, of course, if you guys are watching, you're wondering about these deck lists. We've got them up on our Moxfiled. You can check that out. Another interesting and exciting thing that we got to talk about, besides having the update to our stream setup coming soon, is we were able to hit one of our benchmark goals. And so now we have the ability to get memberships here on the YouTube channel, kind of like a Twitch subscription, if you will. So it's going to be $5 a month. You get little extra badges and emojis and stuff that you could be able to use. So just kind of if you want to help support the channel a little bit more and help improve the quality that we've got over here, that's one of the ways to be able to do it. Or you could just, hit the regular subscribe button and share the videos. That sort of thing is a great way to show your support, because I love being able to sit here and talk to you all about Modern, and especially the format that is kind of crazy. I know a lot of people are hating on the bird. There's some bird footage coming up soon, but we've only got a few weeks. I feel like everyone's kind of in agreement that we've got a few weeks and then the bird's going to be gone. So it's like, grind the RCQ while you can and go from there. Look at this crazy art for Consider. That's the other thing that's like, yeah, sure. All right, let's, deck out your deck and foil it out or spice it up any way that you like. But we're starting to see some digs. We're really looking for, it looks like a land here. Hoping to hit that third land, and we do. Otawaro is going to be it. So we've got access to double blue for a potential counterspell. We've got access to blue and black for some potential removal. But doing some discarding here, we're getting into it. And you can see, like, there's life in the loan. So it's like that's sort of the land package that's getting set up and built up here. Our life totals are off screen, so we've kind of got them up there. Our little tracker there is not being very helpful. It's so interesting to see how much Ragavan has fallen off in the meta since Modern Horizons 3. Like, it was like such a dominant powerhouse of red and of Modern for, during the Modern Horizons 2 meta, and now we're in Modern Horizons 3. Things are just like, who needs a monkey? He's not as good, not as powerful anymore. But there's reasons for that. We know there's things like Orcish Bowmasters and stuff like that that are annoying. But Drown in the Loch is going to be our response, saying that's fine. We're going to deal with your threat. We'll just destroy it instead of keeping it as a counter spell. Let's get a threat off the table and respond from there. But hey, what if we just played another one? All right. More or less trying to keep track of the life totals. I always do so bad with the life total stuff. So we do a little cheating step, a little take backsies here. It's local, like, weeklies, guys. We're not looking for perfection, especially if your opponent... Like, if you're going to a tournament, all right, like an RCQ or something like that, and you run into that situation of, oh, I tapped the wrong lands, you've tapped the wrong lands. Like, you just kind of... You're out of luck in that regard. Being a local, playing with your friends, it's okay to play a little bit looser, a little loosey-goosey. Can you hear the cat crying in the background? She's not really crying. She's got a toy snake that she carries around. But so let's go in here. We're going to be doing our dredging of the life of the loam here, so we can throw a bunch of stuff into the graveyard, do some dredging, get that back, and we are all about getting lands back here because not only is it fuel for our lovely little threats that we can be able to discard cards, but there's also a couple other ways that we can utilize our lands in this deck. So we've got Life in the Loam, we've got Ren and 6 to help us get those lands back. We've got removal spells with Sheldred's Edict, Lightning Bolts. Nice little mix of hateful things to do, as well as like the normal Jund package of Thoughtseize. All right, speaking of Bowmasters here, that's one of the reasons why Murktide has kind of found a home in here, using Murktides, using Orcish Bowmasters, using the Frog to kind of help build up into a powerhouse here. But we're going to pop this in here, deal the 1 damage, do the little trade-off, and clean that up. And the lands player is going to be playing their 1 ring. And we've talked about this time and time again on the channel, is the 1 ring player is often just getting so much advantage. That just blanket, like, I'm protected, you can't interact with me, you can't do anything with me, and then you're just constantly drawing cards every turn and just getting a snowball advantage is crazy. I mean, I would love to see it limited to 1. I know other people that would like to see it banned, but I don't know. I'm also very interested. Star City was talking about doing a pure modern event, one without the Universes Beyond, one without Modern Horizon sets, to see what that would look like and what sort of meta would develop. Maybe one of these days we'll do some of that on the channel. But there's the frog, our first little frog hopping his way onto the screen here. So you can see all the little advantages. One of the cool things, like the drawing cards off, dealing damage, it's great. And it's combat damage to a player or planeswalker. So you get like that bonusness. But essentially, we're going to be tapping out in order to do this. But when your opponent is getting a bunch of advantage off the 1 ring, we're kind of hoping for that. We've got a lot of counter spells in hand, hoping for another land here. The land count is pretty low if you're playing Dimir Murktide. There are, of course, a couple variations, and people are still working on finding the list that they feel most comfortable with. But for the most part, when you're thinking about lands, it's essentially 18 lands. Yes, you could look at it, oh, it's 19 if you are counting our little, MDFCs, the Sink to Stupor. But a lot of times players are just using that as the spell itself. So, 18 lands is very, very tight when you think about it. Even when I was rocking Infect, we were rocking 20 lands. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. I guess because you have so many, you run Considers, you run Preordains, like you have a lot of 1-drop stuff to do and just cantrip a lot. All right, here's what we're talking about. Seismic Assault is the whole reason the deck it's a Jund Seismic Assault deck. All right, we are utilizing all these lands through Ren and 6, through our Life of the Loams to then have a bunch of basically shocks that we can throw at creatures, throw at our opponent, and it's just going to be like, all right, let's just keep dealing 2 damage. All right, so now they're going over just how much damage, how many counters. Like, okay, I'm responding, I'm putting the counters on it. You know, Psychic Frog is a 1/2, so it's like, it has 2 counters. It's currently a 3/4. So you would have to, all right, let's get another counter on it. Now it's a 4/5. Let's keep going. We're going to just, oh my gosh, how many lands is this? Yeah, that, wow. And Life will loam them back. And let's scoop it up after that. Yeah, he says, okay, you got me. Any threat that I play from now on, you just can continually throw bombs at it, throw the shocks at it. So, like, the camera got a little messed up. That's why I can't wait for you guys to see the new footage, because the new setup is very stable and much better setup. But when people place their decks down, it doesn't shake the camera and stuff. So, like I said, September will be the big push for that. So keep an eye out for that. Let's see. Will we get above the 3 lands for the Dimir Murktide? I mean, 3 is a solid number, but like if you get to 4, that's like the golden zone. All right, you are able to cast 2 counter spells in a turn or respond with different things. So, all right, what's the start? Ragavan's the start. All right, surveil lands, shock lands. That's the thing. It's like there aren't very many 3-color decks in Modern, that, with the exception, I guess, in built the traditional way, right? Like so many of the 3-color decks that you're seeing in Modern, things like the Bant Nadu, things like the Mardu Energy, you know, Goryo's Vengeance, like those are kind of like Goryo Vengeance, almost like an old school deck, but like Jund is such a old school deck, right? It's kind of like, no matter what variation you're running, I just see those colors, just makes me think of like early Modern. But I don't know. Surveil lands are great. If you don't have any, you're going to want to pick them up. All right, Ren and 6 is a good way to start things out here. Now we got upcoming events that we're going to be doing at the time that this video comes out. Which, when is this coming out? I don't remember now. But we have an RCQ coming up that we're going to play in. We're bringing the bird. We're going to play the bird and try it out. We've been playing at the LGS. We're just going to play it until it's banned. It's not often that I play the best deck and play very meta decks. I often like to just play more meme decks, or just like, let's have fun and just, you know, see if we can get some wins here and there. Like, I'm much more casual, but we're doing more coverage and stuff, so I figured let's take the time and play the best deck. Plus, I really enjoy the deck. I don't know. I can see why it's frustrating to play against, but I enjoy playing it. So I'll play it until it's banned, be on that train, and then after that, I, of course, have Is It Wizards. I've got Dimir Murktide. I have Yawgmoth variations. So probably play one of those. Maybe at some point I'll put the energy deck together. Maybe at some point I'll pick up the pieces I need for Jeskai control, which really is just Flage. Wow, nice little set up here. Already getting our Seismic Assault. Frog's going to go and just deal 1 damage, which will cause a draw effect. Yeah, there's the response. It draws a card. What? Yeah, every time it deals damage to a player or planeswalker. right, pass turn. 3 mana up. Couple cards in hand to discard to make it so the frog could potentially stay alive. But you got to think is like, you know, we just return another land, discard the land, deal 2 damage.
Then if it doesn't work, again.
It says, I would like to target this. Return this to my hand off of Wrenn and 6. Yeah, in addition to the RCQ tournaments that we're going to, there's also Commander Sealed happening in Rochester in September that we're going to go to. This will be, I saw all the stuff about it last year. We helped did a little fundraiser for it in the spring, so I'm really excited to go and attempt to make a Commander deck from a sealed pool. And also hang out with other creators and do that whole adventuring there. So we'll probably do another little vlog footage, show you guys a little bit of that. Maybe we'll be on the stream for it if you guys are watching the Commander Sealed stream. But for the meantime, we got lots of Modern to go over and show. We do have a Vintage Cube draft. We did stream it up at one point, so you guys can be able to check that out. That footage will be coming up sometime in August as well. So lots of great stuff coming up in the near futures. We're going to have a big push to kind of round out the rest of the year with lots of cool content coming.
Lightning bolt.
You just hear Rob just yelling lightning bolt all the time. All right, One Ring. Again, amazing for the way that this deck is designed to just kind of be grindy, mid-rangey. Let's kind of build up and set up. And then we're going to be dropping more and more lands, utilizing the Seismic Assault here. And like, you're basically, the goal of the deck is to land a Seismic Assault onto the battlefield, have access to Wrenn and 6, or have access to Life from the Loam, or both, and just like go for that pure value engine there of let's just utilize all these lands as weapons. Our Murktide player is kind of in this spot here where they've got to, they got to decide, and we get to see a giant dragon start to come out here. How many counters was that here? It looks like maybe 4? 3 counters. So it's a 6/6. So not bad. You got to force him to throw away 3 lands. It's tough. That's nice. Nihil Spellbomb, so we're seeing some sideboard stuff come in. Of course, you'd get to exile target player's graveyard, and if it gets put into the graveyard, you can always pay that 1 swamp, 1 black mana to be able to draw a card. We don't have any mana. We're sitting on that 3 mana still. And it's interesting. Like, we got another land here. 2 fetch lands in the graveyard. Oh, there was a Sheldred. We need another swamp, though. Let's get it set up here. Oh, yeah, we've got the Trip Noose going on here. The owner of the card shop's name is Trip. So we are doing these special signature Trip Nooses there for the shop. Serialized, right? This 1 of 10, type deal or something. So a lot of the old school regulars that have been at the shop for years get to sign them, and we're doing a little fun thing like that.
I don't know. Built that deck 2 months ago.
All right, so let's just get rid of it. We're not gonna let any more shenanigans happen. But here's the scary part. Sheldred plus the One Ring just is so good. All right, you've seen Cabal Coffers lists that are running it. I mean, if you guys are familiar with the Necro Dominance, just how good Sheldred the Apocalypse is great. It's a great card. I have 2 copies, 1 in Yawgmoth and 1 in my cube. I want to get more, but she's a little pricey. $75 to $85 depending on the version. I guess some version, if you get like the foils, they're like 100, but you know, it's a good card. Good card. Monkey's following up here. Basically just like, let's overwhelm with threats.
It is. I could have it and I could not. It's fucking hot here today. I'm glad it is fucking rare.
All right, so clean up the Renin 6 here, which, you know, it makes sense knowing how valuable it is of a card. Already had 6 loyalty there, so it's like, okay, once it gets to 7, it gets that retrace, but really just the added, hey, I get to always get lands back, or just, you know, not that we would see it really happening here, but that 1 damage that could deal. But I have the Dimir player at 15. They're at 16. I think there was a fetch that I counted that, or maybe I did. I don't remember. I got the life totals got off, but somebody that was paying more attention, let me know if I was correct or not for that. Thoughtseize is going to come and reveal the information. So we could have done some like subtleties and done things like that, but the problem is you want to try to hold on to these answers as much as possible, right? We talked a little bit about you know, the MDFCs in here, the Sync to Stupor, how, you know, it costs 3 mana to be able to cast it, return target spell or non-land permanent opponent controls. Or you could... Oh, cat's jumping and falling. All right, there we go. Got the cats. No more cats falling. But yeah, so Sync of the Stupor, like, I don't know. You use it as the land, so then you get access to being able to just cast Subtlety outright. Otherwise, you have to just rely on pitching it. But again, like, the ability that Sync to Stupor has is really nice. Yep, there's the 3 lands. Let's pitch them. And here's a life from the loam, so we can bring those 3 lands back that we just pitched. And he goes, no. I got the spell snare. I was ready.
What? I got it. Surveil.
Surveilling. I mean, the dangers right now is how do we deal with the Sheldred? There are, depending on the list, only a few Drown the Locks in the list. Oh, he had 2 counter spells on top of that. He goes, look at that. Oh, but guess what? Every time he's drawing a card, he's going to be taking the extra 2 damage. So to do the Preordain, which he needs to look for an answer, he's sitting there and goes, okay, I will scry 2, draw a card, lose 2. Consider, look at the top, surveil it to the graveyard or not, and then draw a card, lose 2 more. So it's a lot of that, like, I need to dig for answers, but the digging that I'm doing is hurting me. All right, it's like, I don't know, Sheldred's so good in that regard. What do you guys think of the lands deck, though? Do you like this sort of style, utilizing your lands as weapons? All right, a little cycle lands. He says, I don't know what you got. He's like, you do. You thought sees me. You know exactly what I have. So you can't say you don't know what I have. Yeah, that's a tough one. Like, you just sort of like, both games, Dimir Murktide has 3 lands. But then again, you're running 18 lands. So it's like, that's just felt like a very difficult matchup. Like, if you're already getting yourself set up and getting ahead and utilizing your counter spells, you're in a better position. Once these big threats like Shelter come down, it becomes very hard to deal with if you don't already have like a Murktide or a Frog to kind of get those advantages there, or Bowmaster to start messing with the opponent with the One Ring. But that's going to do it for this episode. Thanks so much for tuning in and watching, everybody, and I'll see you all next game.